Good afternoon, Facebook. It is Therapy Thursday. Come on in. I am going live and I am trying to check to see if my technology skills are working today. So let's just see. Let's just see what happens here. Hey, Sean, how are you? It's good to see you. Come on in. We are live. Um, I am attempting to go live. So let's just see. Let's see. Let's see if this is working the way I intended it to work. No, it's not. So it's okay. I'm just going to have to set this up on my phone as well. I don't understand why they won't let me go live in two places. Hi, Auntie Yvette. How are you? Good afternoon. It's good to see you. Welcome. I am setting up my live for. Hey, brother. Zay, how you doing? It is so good to see you. Please bear with me. You would think that by now I would have this whole live thing together, right? Hi, Leslie. How are you? I have not seen you in forever. So, Auntie, you see me on my page. Do you see me on my Graceful Journey page, on my business page? I don't know if you're seeing me on that. I doubt it. So I am going to go live. As a matter of fact, let's see. There we go. Hi, Graceful Journey. How are you? I was trying to set up this so that I wouldn't have to be live on two devices. I can do one. Um, yes, you're on Facebook, but I have a business page called Graceful Journey Counseling, and it is. I'm trying to go live on both of them so that I can only have one device set up here, but it's not working for me like that today. It's just saying I'm gonna have to do both. So again, if you see me looking in two different places, it's because I am live on Graceful Journey Counseling. Hi, Graceful Journey. Thank you for joining me. And I'm also live on my own personal Facebook page. It's so tough because I can't do them both, have them both just going live at the same time. I'm sure I can, but it's just a matter of whether or not it's going to cooperate with me. So we're just going to do what we do. Come on in. I'm just going to wait a few minutes. Why don't you guys give me an update? How are you all doing? If you can, if you are still on this live, will you please do me a favor and share this in your network so that somebody can be helped with this? Hey, Adra, how are you? Thank you so much. It's so good to see you today. I want you guys to share this on your own network, okay? Because there is going to be somebody. I am 1,000% certain that somebody in your network. Oop, I'm sorry, Grace, for me. Somebody in your network is going to need this information. They're going to need this information that we're going to talk about today, okay? And so I want you to please share this on your page. Is everybody doing okay today? It is so good to have you guys come in and join. I'm so thankful for that. Um, so come on in. Welcome to my Graceful Journey Counseling. My topic today, Auntie, it's called Hope for the Holidays. When it's not the most wonderful time of the year, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to navigate the holidays when it's not just the happiest time. I know we see all the bright lights and the festivities, and everybody is talking about how we should be happy during the holiday season. And to be honest, for a lot of people, this is not the most wonderful time of the year. Hi, William. Thank you so much. Blessings to you, Sooner family. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. I appreciate it. Please pardon me if my lighting is a little bit different on my Graceful Journey page than it is on my personal page. So we're going to talk about how do we emotionally navigate the holiday season and why it's important for us to have in place some techniques, some skills to help us get through this most difficult time of the year for a lot of people. We assume that everybody is having a good holiday. You know, people have to put on their face. They have to put on so that people don't know that they're sad, so that family members are not aware of what's going on with them. And this becomes the most stressful, anxious laden time of the year for so many people. And we just want to give you a few tips and kind of talk you through it a little bit. I'm just waiting just a couple more minutes um, to until we get a couple more people on, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started right quick. Um, so please join and listen. My aunt gave me such a great idea the last time. She had asked me to start a YouTube channel. So you can find me at Tori the Therapist on YouTube, and all of my videos that I post here on Facebook, because everybody doesn't have Facebook. So all the videos that I post here on Facebook, you'll be able to find them on my YouTube channel. And I will make sure that that link is in the bottom of the comment section, just in case somebody wants to see this and you think it will be good for someone who doesn't have Facebook, and so it'll be a good opportunity for them to do that. So come on in, grab a seat. I hope you have your lunch. I will not be eating lunch on camera. Okay, so I'm trying to be a little professional. So why don't we just go right ahead and jump in? The first thing that I want to do before I get started is I want to remind you and remind your viewers when they log in, maybe at a later time, that this video may, I'm going to just kind of give you a trigger warning that it may trigger some things for you. We are going to talk about loss and grief, death and dying, and why it's important for us to have a plan of action for the holidays. So as you are listening to this, again, if you find yourself in a position at all where you need help and you need someone to talk to in reference to what you are experiencing during this holiday season, please do not hesitate to reach out. My contact information will be in the comment section after this video has been completed. And no matter where you are in the country, if you need help, I can connect you with somebody that can sit with you and help you process this holiday season. The holidays are not easy for everyone. And for most families, particularly those who have experienced loss over the year, this may be the year of the first for you, where you are experiencing the holiday for the first time without your loved one. After the divorce, the first holiday that your child has left and gone off to college and they won't be back home for the holidays. This may be the first holiday without a job. You may be having financial issues. This may be the first holiday where you are experiencing some illness and you are working through trying to feel better. This is the first holiday with a diagnosis. This may be the first holiday where the prognosis for the diagnosis is not going to be good, and doctors are not giving you the best outcome for your illness. All of this is playing a role in how you are navigating and will navigate this holiday season. And so we're just here to talk about it and provide you with much support. For those of you who have lost loved ones, please let me be the first, the second, the fifth, the 100th person to offer you my deepest condolences. I am so sorry that you are having to experience this difficult time without your loved one. We do not. Death is such a very difficult thing, and it almost appears, from being a mortician for 13 years, we would say all the time that the holiday season seems to be the time of year when we get the most busiest as morticians, but it's also the most difficult for families because they experience loss seemingly at an exponential level during this time of the year. And so if your family happens to be among the mourners for the year, please accept our deepest condolences from Graceful Journey Counseling. And we are here to help you. We want you to know that we have resources that we are willing to provide for you throughout this holiday season. I will tell you that as a therapist, my schedule is filling up quickly during this holiday season because people are experiencing an unusual level of anxiety because they do not know what to expect or what they're going to expect as this time approaches. And there is almost this anticipatory feeling that we are going to be either I'm going to be sad throughout this time, either yes, even those in senior housing, where if you are a senior and now you are not living in your primary home and maybe you have been displaced for one reason or another because you either can't live on your own, because you do not have family that is able to take care of you during the holidays, and now you are living in a facility and maybe your health has declined. All of those things are contributing factors to why the holiday season is so difficult for many, because we oftentimes make the assumption that all of us have family units that we can get together with and that we can come together with and have a holiday season that's going to resemble or look like what we've either experienced in the past or what we presume that other people are experiencing. So, and what about that single person who's saying, okay, I'm approaching another holiday and I'm single. I'm not in a relationship. I don't have anybody to share this time with. This is a time of love and sharing and coming together and growing together. And I don't have anybody, right? I'm by myself again. Here's another Christmas where I'm standing up under the mistletoe and the closest person to me is Uncle Jimmy, right? All of those feelings that you are expressing and feeling, they are all valid feelings. And I will tell you that it's during the holiday season that these feelings seem to amplify. The loneliness seems to magnify during this time of year, particularly when the situation and the circumstances that you may find yourself in during this time of year does not correlate with what you had in mind. It's not meeting your expectations. And so because it's not meeting my expectation, this time of year can be very difficult. Another issue that we see a lot of times is when parents and guardians come in and they do not have the financial resources to give to their children as they would like. I don't have the money to buy the Christmas gifts. My kid is 6. How do I explain to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10-year-old that mom and dad, we just don't have it? We don't have the resources that we may once have had before to be able to purchase the things that you want. And oftentimes it's not necessarily explaining it to the child that becomes a difficult part. It's taking it in as the adult and not feeling as though you failed your child or you failed family members because you are unable to financially do what you may have been doing in the past for them around this time of year. We're going to address all of these things in ways in which we can combat some of those feelings that we experience during this time. And I will tell you that if you've lost a loved one, it doesn't have to be a recent loss in order for that loss to impact your emotions during this time, because the holiday season is filled with traditions, right? It's filled with maybe family coming together. And so if we don't have that family anymore, if you've lost older relatives that may have been the bedrock of your family, and now those family members are no longer here, then what happens? What happens when the older generation passes away and there's nobody there to be the solid rock and the foundation of the family? Well, when Big Mama was here, we all got together at Big Mama's house. Now that she's gone, do we still get together? Do we still have the dinner? Do you remember the scene in oh my gosh, what's the movie? Somebody's gonna type it in for me. When Big Mama passes away, and the soundtrack is off the chain, by the way. But anyway, Big Mama passes away, and the kids are basically at odds at the hospital as to whether or not we should continue with Sunday dinners. Should we do this? Should we have a Sunday dinner now that she's not here? Should we continue on with the tradition? What about the ones who feel a sense of guilt for not wanting to participate because I'm just not feeling it? I just don't feel like soul food. Thank you, Adra. Oh gosh, don't take my card. Please don't strip me of my black card, folks. Soul food. So remember the scene, and they were having a real discussion, and there was real dissent on both sides, because one is saying we can't continue on with this tradition without Big Mama. It'll be disrespectful to her memory. Whereas the other is saying that this is the way that we perpetuate the memory, right? The way that we keep it going. Whoever laughed at me, I know you're going to be the first one coming after my card, but I got other things that I can remember, okay? So you're not coming after my card. Anyway, so how do we continue to perpetuate Big Mama's memory by continuing to doing traditions that kept and held our family together? So having that understanding as well is that sometimes keeping with tradition can bring a sense of anxiety, because and then sometimes breaking away from tradition can also bring you a sense of anxiety and concern about the holidays. So let's just kind of get into it. The one thing that I want to remind you all is that no matter what it is that you are feeling throughout this time, you have a right to feel the way that you feel. I'm going to say it again, and I've said this before on other lives that I've done, that we have to allow ourselves the space and the grace to feel what we feel when we feel it, right? Because the expectation that you may be putting on yourself to feel any other way, it's more painful than actually feeling what you need to feel, right? So I should be feeling this way. I should be happy, right? I should be happy during this time. I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm still healthy. This is how I should feel. But in reality, this is what I'm really feeling. And the struggle between the expectation of what you should be feeling and the reality of what you're actually feeling is what's really causing the weight that you feel, that heaviness that you feel on your chest. Because oftentimes it's hard to grieve in groups because everybody grieves differently. And oftentimes we don't really provide the best space for that grief to take place. What we want to do, and I think we do it out of love, is that we really just want the person to feel better. I just want you to feel better. I know you just lost your loved one. I know this is the first time that you're having to experience this holiday without your loved one, but ultimately, I just want you to feel better. And so we try and in many ways lovingly manipulate the person into feeling better, when the truth of the matter is that they don't know what better is for them at the time. And so a lot of times people will ask the question, well, what do we do in those moments when a person has lost someone? And I always say support them in a way that will be support for them, not necessarily in the way that you see it being supported. Okay, so this person may say, this is the first Thanksgiving without my spouse, without my child, without my mother, and I'm not really feeling all that festive. I'm not really feeling like getting together. Don't browbeat them into saying things like, well, you don't need to be alone, and this is a time for family, and you need to be around other people, because they may not be in the mental and emotion, may not have the mental and emotional capacity to be able to socialize and deal with how other people are dealing with the loss as well. So the one thing that's so important is that people who grieve, they are at a heightened level of sensitivity. That means that they have a greater tendency to feel what other folks are feeling, and sometimes even feel responsible for being responsible for how that person feels. And so sometimes crowds and groups are not the best settings for them, because they are so sensitive to what's being emoted outside of them. They're so sensitive to what other people are feeling. And the last thing that we want a griever to feel is guilt for making other people feel the way that they feel. I hope that made sense. The last thing we want to do to grievers and mourners is to make them feel guilty for being responsible for having other people feel the pain and the hurt that they themselves feel. Because a lot of times they feel as though they are imposing. Their emotions and feelings are an imposition on the rest of the group. This would be a happy occasion if I wasn't here reminding everybody that we lost somebody significant, right? These are some of the things that may be going through their head at the time, because they're very sensitive about how they're moving about in a group and how they're moving about amongst the family, and then how other people are moving about with them. Sometimes I hear my clients tell me things like, I don't want people to feel as though they are going to be responsible for having to change things around to suit my loss and to suit my grief. Right? They would normally do this, but now they're having to rearrange the table because of my grief and my loss, and I don't want to impose on them for that. So just keep that in mind, that if someone says, I just don't feel like being involved, or I don't feel like being a part of the festivities, take that for face value and maybe say something like, how then can I support you? In what ways can I support you throughout this time? I know you just experienced the loss. How may I support you? They may say, bring me over a plate and go home. They may say nothing. They may say you don't have to do anything. They may say, I mean, whatever it is that they say, be very open to them telling you how you can support them instead of you assuming that you can support them in a way that may not be supportive for them. So be comfortable with feeling how you feel, right? Secondly, one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is to be open to new traditions. Necessarily work very well for people who are in the very beginning stages. Like if this is a year of a first for you, this is not for you. This is not necessarily for you. If you are in the year of the first, that means my loved one passed away sometime between January 1st of 2019 and today. And this is kind of how I feel about it. This may not be for you. But for those who are saying things like, okay, well, I can't go home for the holidays because I can't afford it. Or they'll say something like, my family is not doing what we normally do. Be open to creating new traditions for yourself, right? Be open to saying, well, maybe I'll try this year, or maybe I'll try that. If it comes down to even finances, well, we don't have the finances to purchase gifts, or we may not have the finances to have a huge Thanksgiving meal. Well, maybe we don't do a traditional Thanksgiving meal. Maybe we do something like, well, why don't we have an Asian inspired Thanksgiving meal? Or excuse me, maybe we'll have a Mexican inspired Thanksgiving meal, or maybe we'll have a potluck, or one person is not responsible for doing all of the cooking because of the financial and the emotional burden that it may have on that one person, right? So be open to creating new traditions. Just be open to it and saying, maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should travel this year for Thanksgiving. I wouldn't recommend that because Thanksgiving is the biggest travel season of the year. But let's just do something different, right? Be open to new traditions. The third thing that I would say is just be really aware of what's in your control and what's out of your control, right? Because when we are unclear about what we're in control of and what we're not in control of, this brings on a lot of anxiety. It brings on a lot of anxiety, right? You're anxious about, well, who's going to bring this person, right? Or maybe they were a couple last year, now they're no longer. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, you don't know what it means, right? Because you have to be mindful of controlling the things that you can control, and then the things that you cannot control, that's completely out of your control. You have to leave it there. You have to leave it out of your control. Much of our anxiety during the holiday season is because we attempt to anticipate what something is going to be like instead of waiting for the event to happen and seeing what's going to be happening as a result of it. So I'm going to anticipate how I'm going to feel. Oh my gosh, this is the first holiday where our parents are divorced, and we're older kids, our parents are divorced. This is going to be weird. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. And you have all of these anticipatory feelings about an event that hasn't happened yet. You throw your anxiety and you throw your emotions completely out of whack because you're trying to anticipate an event that has yet to happen. And then once it happens, it's like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But now you were in the throes of an anxiety attack because you attempted to anticipate what would possibly, maybe, kind of, sort of, could, almost maybe happen, and you really have no evidence that these things are going to happen. And so our minds are so creative. It doesn't like to leave incomplete sentences. And so just like when I forgot soul food and I was like, I can't remember, like it was bothering me. I was like, if somebody is gonna type it, because our minds, we don't like to leave blank spaces. And whenever there is a blank space, because of the creativity of our minds, we attempt to fill in the blank with what we think is going to happen instead of us waiting to see what exactly is going to happen. And oftentimes, when we anticipate what's going to happen, we always go to the worst case scenario first, right? We just do. We just go to the worst case scenario first. We don't think that it's going to be good. We go all the way to the worst thing that can happen, and then we set that in the blank, and then for the whole week or 2 or 4, we are anticipating this disaster that we've created in our heads, when we just should have said to ourselves, before I draw an emotional conclusion about how this thing is going to happen, let's see what's going to happen first. Let me see what the holiday is going to look like first, right? So that's another thing, to be very mindful of our need to want to control the situation, and being able to, I like to say, separate the laundry between what we can control and what we cannot control. And oftentimes, when we are so enthralled with the things that we cannot control, it's an act of distraction. It's us distracting ourselves from doing what's absolutely necessary within our wheelhouse to do what we're supposed to do. So I say that when we try to control things that are out of our control, it is a distraction. It is an emotional and mental distraction, because we don't want to focus our energy on what we actually can control and doing the work in that arena of controlling what we actually can control. Right. So that's another thing. So I said, give yourself permission to feel how you feel. If you're not up for it, you're not, and it's okay. 2, make sure that you, what was number 2? I can't remember. Number 2, I'm going to go skip to 3. Keep things within your control. What's in your wheelhouse, what you can control that. And 3, let's not be anticipatory that things are going to happen and we don't know exactly what those things are. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of that. If you have any questions for me, if there's a specific thing that you would like for me to answer, go ahead and type that in the comment section. If you are in this community, if you don't mind sharing this on your network, I would say, and another thing to be mindful of is just to be compassionate. Be compassionate that there are going to be people around you who, for one reason or another, is not looking forward to the holiday season. And by being compassionate, it just says, don't ask questions like, well, why not? We kind of go into the whole why not thing. Why not? Why don't you like Thanksgiving? Why don't you like Christmas? Why not? Well, because so many people have experienced so many traumatic events, and even childhood events may not necessarily be the most happy when it comes to holiday seasons. So consider other people. Be considerate of the people around you, and that they may not necessarily be in a place where the holiday seasons are the best for them. Particularly single friends, people who are just recently married. Let's not ask them, oh, so where's your significant other? Where are they this year? I thought you were dating someone. What happened? Right? Be mindful of new couples. Hi, Dr. Jessica Shepard. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Be mindful of new couples, not to encroach upon their privacy about fertility during the holiday season. That's not anybody's business but theirs. Things like, well, you've been married a year, you ain't pregnant yet. Very insensitive comments. Be mindful, be considerate that everybody is not in a place that you would think that they would be in. And those questions are invasive, they're hurtful, and it could, in fact, be more of a problem why the holiday season can be difficult for them. So be mindful of those questions. Again, you have a single relative and they're coming to the holiday function and you be like, I thought you, what happened to her? Well, you got this another person, or what happened to him? I thought y'all was, what happened? Just be mindful of that, because those things they can be very hurtful. And they may not say anything to you. They may not comment to you about how they felt about it, but I guarantee you that they would leave from the experience thinking, man, I am so tired of my family browbeating me about my relationship status. I'm tired of my family browbeating me about when I'm going to have children, not even knowing if I can have children, right? So we have to be mindful of those comments and of those statements, because they can be hurtful, to someone during the holiday season. This was just a little something. I know that there will probably never be anything that I can say, that will ease the pain and the discomfort, for those who come upon the holiday season and it's just not the happiest time of the year for them. And me offering condolences, me offering my apologies, it's just a small way of letting you know that you will get through this holiday as well. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't set this very high expectation. I believe that was number two. Don't set this very high expectation that you should feel a certain kind of way, that you are responsible for how other people feel based upon what you're feeling. None of those things are of a requirement. You're not required to feel any kind of way or to be responsible for how other people feel or how they're going to feel, right? Take your time. The grieving process, no matter the loss, it's a very difficult process. The road is difficult. It is a road that is traveled by many, but the experiences are so different. Thank you, Adra. The experiences are so different for everybody that it's really hard to encompass or to understand what another person is going through. You may be able to understand from a sympathetic point, and that's what we ask you to do. But we also ask you to just be very compassionate, because the holidays can be so very difficult for so many. I am going to Yes, and people do grieve in different ways. And while a lot of people I like to say, grief shared is grief diminished, but I'm also very much aware that the timing of how grief is shared is based on that individual griever. That not everyone is going to want to talk about the loss. And it doesn't have to be a death. Remember, we talked a couple of weeks ago that the loss can be anything. It can be a loss of a relationship. It can be a loss of a friendship. It can be a loss of a job. It can be the loss of your ability to provide in one way or another for your family as you used to provide. All those things are considered losses, and people handle them and speak about them in so many different ways. They express the byproduct of those losses in so many different ways that we have to just be really mindful of the truth that everybody is going to grieve differently, and we have to be more compassionate in the way that we approach this holiday season. I would like to just say a quick prayer for anybody who may be suffering during this time. My prayer for you is that you find all of the peace that your heart needs during this most difficult time. That something will spark a light for you during this difficult season. That something you see, hear, reminds you that it won't be dark always. Darkness cannot persist always. I don't know when the light will come, but my prayer is that the light will come for you, and that in some way, somehow, you will be able to see that there is going to be a blessing on the other side of this. I don't know what that blessing will be for you. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know when it's going to come, but I am assured that it will come for you. I pray that someone will come along the way and say something to provide you some word of comfort during this difficult time. And I just thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to sit with you on today. Again, remember, you do not have to do this alone. No matter where you are in the country, if you are having a difficult time during this holiday season, please contact me. You may DM me. You may go to my Graceful Journey Counseling page, send me a message, and no matter where you are in the country, I will do my best to find you someone that you can talk to and have a conversation with. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not listening to this broadcast by accident. It's not, oh, just because I had a few minutes. No, this is a purpose. This is on purpose that you have tuned in today for the last 35 minutes. And I want you to know that you are not by yourself. There is someone here that is with you, that is standing with you, that is championing you. You are going to get through this. You are going to get through this. I thank you all so very much for joining me. If you can, hit that share button. Somebody on your page needs to hear this. This is going to be a good 35 minutes for somebody who's saying, I don't think I can make it through. I don't know if I can do this. And they needed some stranger to sit and say to them, you can do this. You can make it. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Therapy Thursday. This has been a blessing. I will see you guys next Thursday. Bring your lunch. Somebody should bring me lunch, right? So we can have lunch together. Have your people call my people. We can do lunch, right? But thank you so much on both my personal page and my Graceful Journey Counseling page. If you have any questions, you may send me a DM, shoot me an email, info@gracefuljourneycounseling.com, and I will do my very best to try to help. Have a wonderful day. I have clients. I will see you guys next week. Bye.